Hello guys, how's it going? My name is Dalaran, and in today's video I want to talk about the brand new season affix for Reaping for patch 8.1. As of patch 8.1, they'll be introducing a brand new seasonal affix called Reaping, and in this video I really want to dive in and explore what this could possibly be, because so far we've had no information on this affix whatsoever. As you can tell, I'm a huge fan of M+ dungeons. I use them all the time for my B-roll, and I love the type of challenging content that can be done with 5 friends. So of course I'm very excited about a brand new affix that's coming out very soon for Season 2, and so far we've had very little information on what exactly it's going to be or exactly how it's going to work. We haven't been able to test it on PTR. So in this video I just want to talk about what we know of the Reaping affix, what its thematic purpose could be, and exactly how it's going to function and how it could affect the dungeon runs. Maybe certain classes would be better, maybe certain classes would be worse, who knows? So first of all, what do we know about this affix? So if you head over to Icy Veins, we have a description of what it looks like. So Reaping says, non-boss enemies are empowered by Bwonsamdi and periodically seek vengeance from beyond the grave. We also know that this will happen every 20% on the enemy forces bar. When doing M+ dungeons, not only do you have to kill every single boss for the dungeon, but also enough of the trash bags in order to complete 100%. Certain trash bags and certain enemies have a higher score, which allows people to choose which trash bags they want to kill and which ones they don't. So every 20%, what it says is Bwonsamdi will resurrect spirits of all the trash creatures you had killed up to that point, and they will charge at you no matter where you are at. This happens a total of 5 times per dungeon. A while ago, there was also a few spells related to Reaping that came out into the game. First one, Aura of Reaping. Grants nearby allies Aura of Reaping, reflecting 75% of the damage dealt back at the target. Then you have the Reaping effect itself, reflecting 75% damage of the target, and Reaping inflicts shadow damage equal to 75% of the damage dealt to the target. So we have a few bits of information on how it might function, but I guess it's a question of how do we put it together. There's a couple things that we can learn from Season 1 affix. First of all, Gahun on Mythic spawns a lot of adds. Every time you kill an enemy that is, I guess, a minion of Gahun, on Mythic he will spawn extra Gahunis, which everybody calls them Gahunis, but they're basically smaller versions of Gahun, little warm babies, and they will try to infect a player. Once they infect a player, after a bit of time, that player will spawn even more of those enemies and more and more and more, so the idea is to not let them reach a target to infect. And on top of it, we've seen in Mythic Pluses that Blizzard likes to do this type of mechanic through enemies that have some sort of a buff. With Season 1 affix, Gahuns, what they do is the target infested with Gahuns will just heal everybody around them until that target is dead. Then that target will spawn 2 of these Gahuni adds, so it's almost like a mix of a enemy that's buffed, but also like a Mythic Plus mechanic, kinda, or a light version of that mechanic added into Mythic Pluses. So by what we've seen in Season 1, I can derive a few ideas of how I think it might work in Season 2. First of all, I think Blizzard is going to replicate the idea that there will be certain add in a trash pack that will be buffed, that will simply be stronger in one way or another. When looking back at Wowhead with Aura of Reaping, I'm gonna guess that one add will be selected by Bwonsamdi, and he will exert this Aura of Reaping. That means you can either CC that add or you focus that add solo and try not to hit anybody around you. The way that this functions though is a little different. It reflects 75% of the damage dealt back at the target. So that means technically, let's say if you're a rogue and you have Cloak of Shadows and you have huge AoE burst, or if you're a monk with Karma, you can actually use that to your advantage by doing big AoE damage and reflecting that into one target. So certain classes will be able to deal with this in interesting ways, but not everybody. It'll be actually very, very interesting to see if certain classes can abuse this. But I guess time will tell. And then for the second part is from the Icy Veins, every 20% on the enemy forces bar, Bwonsamdi will resurrect all the enemies you have killed to chase you. So every 20% you'll have, let's say, a small trash pack that you have killed already. Then next 20% it'll be double. Then third, fourth, and fifth until you basically have to re-clear the whole dungeon. It's a very interesting affix, and we don't really know how these souls that are chasing after you, how they will work. but I guess we will have to find out. My guess is if there is going to be an ad with some sort of a buff that you have to either CC or nuke down in a group of packs, then those extra reaping ads are probably going to have a fair amount of health. Maybe some of them have more health than others. For example, if you killed an elite, that spirit will have a slightly bigger health pool, but if you kill, let's say, like a yellow mob or a non-elite mob, their health bar is probably going to be a lot smaller, so it'll be easier to take them out. My question is, I guess, also how much damage will they do, and if it's going to be something that a tank can even properly tank. It could be one of those things where the tank would want to draw aggro, and I guess a blood decay would be the best for it, by throwing down death and decay, where you can slow them down and do damage in order to get some aggro from these enemies. And you would use classes like mages and boomkins and any classes that offer huge amounts of AoE damage that can nuke those ads down from a distance. Or maybe even a rogue that'll pop maybe like cloak or evasion so he doesn't get hit, and then go in and phantomize the mobs. So to me, if that's how it's gonna function, then I think the affix might actually be very unfriendly in some sense to I guess how the dungeon will run. That means you will want ranged characters that can nuke down all those spirits before they get to you or to your tank. So for a melee character that doesn't have a Trickster trait, for example, like, you know, warriors and death knights and everybody, it's going to be a lot harder to find groups. Now, there is another speculation in terms of how this might function, because Blizzard never stated that the buff of Reaping is going to be exactly on the ads. It's simply what we've seen in Mythic Plus Season 1 Affix. What if that aura of Reaping is going to be on the spirits that are running after you? So for the most part, you're taking down, you know, so one trash bag, second trash bag, third trash bag. You don't really have to think about, you know, any kind of affix that they have. So you get it through the content very quickly. And then you get the 20%, then all of a sudden you have this army of spirits, or maybe a few spirits, not even a whole army. Maybe like depending on the trash bag, the spirit size is going to be as big as that one trash bag. So you'll have like maybe 2-3 spirits, and those spirits will have an aura. Let's say you're going through the dungeon and you pull in one trash, then another, but somebody will resummon the spirits to chase after you, and if those spirits get into that group of enemies you're fighting, then that spirit will radiate the Reaping buff. So then the idea might be, you might want a class like a hunter, or any class with a ranged slow, or a trap, or some kind of ranged stun, or even a blind, to CC that mob at distance. Maybe like a boomkin just roots them from afar, or a death knight stuns them with strangulate. I feel like in that way, if that's how the dungeon ends up functioning, then and only then would it allow melee classes to actually somewhat compete. It would be somewhat of a deceptive type of dungeon run. Like, for example, you would be going through all these trash packs and none of them are buffed, none of them have any special bonuses to damage or any kind of modifiers, but you're getting through the content so quickly that you don't even notice whenever your bar has like 20%, 40%, 60%, 80% completion of all the ads. And every time you do it, all those ads become a lot more powerful and a lot more deadly. So then what you would want to do is you would want to take on those ads kind of one by one. So you wouldn't really want them to stack up, because once they start stacking up, then all of them give each other that one buff. So then the idea would be to stop those ads before they reach the trash packs you currently are on by slowing them down or CCing them, but also you're trying to make sure that you're trying to not let those ads stack up so you can take them on one at a time. So then the idea would be to be very careful in terms of the trash bags that you pull, to hopefully by the time you finish the last mob that gives you that 20% interval, to then, you know, have to focus on the Reaping Souls, as it would just come chasing after you down the path that you've already laid, and try to kill them as soon as they come. Either way Blizzard does it, I think it'll be very interesting. I am kind of hoping for the second one, because it'll be very interesting to see a lot of players go into a Mythic Plus and just see, oh wow, none of these guys are infested with Gahoon. I guess we're just gonna run through the dungeon and clear it very quickly. And then they'll be surprised that they're going through all these dungeons, getting 20%, 40%, 60%, and then all of a sudden they turn around and there's a whole bunch of spirits just like chasing after them, and then they start to clump up together and they give each other a buff, and now you can never get rid of them. Although I very doubt, because the second one is going to be very, very punishing if you kind of fall behind on that. There's certain affixes and certain, I guess, mechanics where it can be very punishing if you are not careful. But I don't know, the first one just seems kind of boring to me, because it would feel like it's basically Season 1 affix, but it basically has already been done before. I don't know, maybe just me, but I guess I'll let you guys let me know that in the comments below. What do you think the affix is going to be for Reaping? How do you think it's going to work? And what are your thoughts? Are you excited about the Season 2 affix? Honestly, I'm very excited to try to see if we will miss those little Gahoonies anymore, because I'm kind of tired of Gahoon and the whole old deer. I'm very excited for the brand new raid, for the brand new PvE content, and that's happening very, very soon on December 11th. I honestly cannot wait. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. I do hope you enjoyed. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below, and I'll see all of you guys in another video.